It is now 6 o'clock. I call the May 13th, 2026 Planning Commission meeting to order. Ms. Binigar, roll call, please.
Will Parsons. AJ Mentel.
Present.
Roger Daniel.
Here.
Nancy Griffith. Here. David Cash.
Here.
Tara Ramsey. Here. And Gabriel Shainline.
Here.
Let's see. So since Chairman Parsons is absent and he has an excused absence, I'd like to do a motion to excuse his. Would anybody like to make one?
I'll move. I'll second.
Mr. Mentel.
Yes.
Mr. Daniel.
Yes.
Ms. Griffith. Yes. Mr. Cash.
Yes.
Ms. Ramsey.
Yes.
And Mr. Shainline.
Yes.
All right, and then at this time, please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, and at this time, we will move. We'll review the meeting minutes for the April 8th meeting. Has everybody had a chance to review the minutes?
Yes.
Yep. And does anybody have any changes that they would like to make for the record? No? Okay, well, then I will make a motion to approve the minutes. Do I have a second?
Mr. Mentel.
Yes.
Mr. Daniel.
Yes.
Ms. Griffith.
Yes.
Mr. Cash.
Yes.
Ms. Ramsey. And Mr. Shainline.
Yes.
Okay, and then for our first case of the night, we have case number 1026. This is on Miller Road. The request is for a right-of-way vacation that has been submitted by the property owners Tim and Megan Schmel. I hope I said that right. And Beecher Rogers. It is to vacate a right-of-way known as Miller Road by the Miller Ridge Middle School. Or, that's an elementary school. Ms. Binigar, take it away, please.
Oh, yes. Thank you for reminding me. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give before this commission will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
All right, so this street vacation petition is from the southeastern corner of parcel ID listed above, and I will show you guys by approximate on the screen where my cursor is, all the way to where Miller Road currently dead ends into the parcel to the south, equating to approximately 1,400 feet of right-of-way. The street vacation petition will require approval of the Middletown City Council following Planning Commission's recommendation of the application per the Middletown Development Code as well as Ohio Revised Code. So getting into staff analysis, the applicant requests the City of Middletown to vacate approximately 30 feet of right-of-way known as Miller Road, as depicted by the red line as shown on the previous slide. An explanation of the requested right-of-way vacation was not received with the application. The application identified 3 property owners comprised of a total of 4 parcels as applicants. The parcel IDs, the street address or common known address, and then the property owners are shown in the table. However, after requesting verification and clarification of the validity of the signature on behalf of the Middletown City School District Board of Education for the listed parcel found in the application, the applicant stated an overly eager neighbor signed the petition in the wrong spot. Thus, the signature next to the parcel appears to be not made by an authorized representative of the Middletown City School District Board of Education. Additionally, the property owner of the parcel to the south, where Miller Road currently dead ends into, is not identified and did not sign the petition. As such, there is no written consent from all abutting property owners under Section 72306 of the Ohio Revised Code, and public notice is required. You can see the application on the screen. In review of the application submitted as compared to the city's adopted plans and regulations, staff finds the following. Looking at Chapter 120601, the roles and powers of Planning Commission. As the petition requests the vacation of public real estate, Planning Commission does have the ability to provide a recommendation on the matter. Looking at Chapter 1222, our subdivision regulations, specifically lot design standards, the proposed street vacation would create a loss in right-of-way access and frontage for the identified parcel on the screen, and a loss of right-of-way access and frontage on Miller Road for the parcel on the screen, also known as the parcel to the south. Additionally, that southern parcel would retain right-of-way frontage on Briel Boulevard, but there is not existing access to the parcel from Briel Boulevard. The city of Middletown has been threatened with a Fifth Amendment takings claim, and the city's law director has noted that the city would likely be liable if the street vacation petition is approved. Getting into Chapter 1202, the administration and enforcement of the code should be consistent with the city's of Middletown Street Master Plan. So looking at the Middletown Street Master Plan, Miller Road is identified to be a future collector street connected to the end of North Marshall Road. A collector street would require 61 to 76 feet of right-of-way, so an additional right-of-way would be needed outside of the approximate 30 feet of right-of-way that currently exists there today, featuring a 36-foot wide street estimated to cost $4 million and is anticipated to be completed in a 5 to 10 year time frame. Here is our street master plan map on the screen. Up here you can see where Miller Road is proposed to connect to North Marshall Road as a future collector. Getting into Destination Middletown, the city's comprehensive plan. While the city's comprehensive plan does not directly identify the extension of Miller Road to North Marshall Road as a potential future roadway improvement within the transportation and infrastructure chapter, the vacation of Miller Road would directly impact the larger parcel's site readiness for residential development. It is currently zoned R1 and is slated as a single-family future land use designation. The 86-acre undeveloped parcel to the south would be directly impacted by loss of right-of-way access and become less marketable, thus obstructing the goals of the city for single-family dwelling development. As for public notice comments received, one formal letter was included in your staff packet and is in your staff packet as well. The second separate letter at your seat is the second formal letter of opposition received regarding this application. For other department comments, Public Works Department has stated there is no desire to vacate Miller Road. The city street master plan adopted in 2011 identifies Miller Road to connect to Marshall Road. Approval of the right-of-way vacation petition would go against the plan. Community and Economic Development Department has stated approval of the street vacation petition regresses site development and readiness. As for staff recommendation, based on the information provided by the applicant's submission, staff recommends denial of the application for the following reasons. The petition is procedurally deficient as it represents that all abutting property owners consent to the street vacation but contains an invalid signature for the identified parcel in violation of Ohio Revised Code section 72306, and because of the lack of signature to the south. The applicant did not provide an explanation as to why the street vacation is warranted. The vacation petition creates two non-conforming parcels identified according to Chapter 1224 of the Middletown Development Code. While this chapter of the code may contemplate how to address pre-existing nonconformities, it does not authorize the creation of new nonconforming conditions. The city could be held liable for a Fifth Amendment's taking claim if the request for the street vacation is approved. Chapter 120206A of the Middletown Development Code requires that administration and enforcement of the code be consistent with the City of Middletown Street Master Plan. The adopted Street Master Plan calls for Miller Road to be extended to the south. Approval of the petition would be in direct conflict of the adopted policy. And vacation of Miller Road would obstruct future residential development of the R1 zone parcel, where current right-of-way dead ends. Therefore, the street vacation petition is in direct conflict with the city's adopted plans, regulations, and policies, including Destination Middletown, Middletown Development Code, and Middletown Street Master Plan. The review criteria is on the screen, And that will conclude my staff report.
Thank you, Ms. Benagar. Does anybody have any questions for staff?
I do. The right-of-way is 50 feet wide, I think is what it says approximately.
It's approximately 30 feet today.
If that was to be used as a connector to North Marshall and the street requirement's 61 to 76 feet, how do we reconcile that? I mean, the city doesn't own enough to make a collector street or a connector street, I guess, at this point in time.
I can't answer that question. I don't know that
through a,
process.
Eminent domain type of,
I think that's just going to be a bridge you have to cross when you come to it. That's not really something before this planning commission right now.
thank you.
Just because I'm not familiar with the term, what is a Fifth Amendment takings claim? Can you explain that?
Basically, where the government takes somebody's property without due process and they are owed compensation for that taking. So you see a lot of times where through eminent domain, takings claims are kind of short-circuited because the Department of Transportation will give somebody a notice saying, hey, we need to take your street frontage so that we can widen the road here, but we're prepared to offer you just compensation for it. And if the property owner disagrees with that amount, then they can file a takings claim in court and argue over how much they should be compensated. But it's kind of the same concept.
Thank you. Does anybody have any other questions for staff? No? Okay. Well, at this time, we'll open the public hearing. If there's anybody who would like to speak in favor, please come on forward and be sworn in by Mr. Cash, please. Just for the record, should we do one at a time?
You can both be sworn in and say it at the same time.
Okay.
Well, we'll swear them in as they want to approach the dais. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give before this commission will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
If you'd identify yourself, please. Selves, please.
Tim Schmalley.
Megan Schmalley, owner of 4717 Miller Road.
Just make sure that when you guys are speaking, that you speak into the microphone so that the system records it.
Will IT allow a slideshow? I sent it when I got home from school today, so will IT allow a slideshow that we had sent?
Well, we're here. I think that either outcome tonight is going to be a success for us.
Keep your voice up.
Sure. I think either outcome is going to be a success for us tonight. Either we're going to leave here and the street is going to be vacated and we'll be responsible for the upkeep and maintenance of the road, as we would call it, or we won't. And that would fall to the cities, meaning plowing, paving, all of the maintenance. I have photos. We brought a slideshow. We weren't aware there needed to be an explanation, otherwise we would send one. Our explanation is simple. Miller Road, from the corner where Claire exampled, has not been maintained at all in the entire time that I have lived in the state of Ohio, which I moved here in 2010, August of 2010. My wife, Megan, couldn't attest farther back than that, but there's been no paving operations. There hasn't even been gravel delivery because it is, at this point, mowed by the city schools. So we're really questioning a road that has been just left. So if it's a road, let's get it paved. Let's make it a road. If it's not a road, let's say so. But we're kind of caught in this weird middle position. As far as access, I understand that it dead ends into the south parcel. The significant portion of the frontage is ourselves and the school district, which we didn't talk to the school district. We couldn't figure out who it was. We just took it to our neighbors and said, hey, this is what we're trying to do. We'd like this to be private. We have all sorts of calls with, most recently we had somebody that the police department thought was to be high on meth come up our driveway at 6:30 a.m. in the morning, not p.m., get stuck behind our barn, and we had a very exciting morning that morning. I did request the police activity for the 4700 block of Miller Road. Every single call back to 2007 has been, with the exception of one, has been us. Has been myself, my wife's late mother, or my father-in-law, Tracy Price. And most of them have been like, hey, we got somebody came tearing up here on a quad. We had somebody come up in the field, got stuck. We had people just, they're going all over. Most recently, we had somebody driving in the fields of Miller Ridge. They were four-wheeling a Jeep up there. And the police department was nice enough, came out with their drone. They looked up the guy, stopped them, and he's like, well, I thought there were trails back there. But obviously, that's not the case. So we have those calls if you'd like to look at them. We also have photos of the condition of Miller Road as it sits today if you'd like to see them. Some of the notes that I have is that I talked to the school maintenance. They've been mowing that road since 2020, 2021 timeframe when the head of maintenance took over. It was subcontracted out, but they're mowing the road because they don't know any better. It doesn't appear to be a road. It appears to be grass. The notes from the fire department, while they wouldn't share the email that they sent to the public maintenance, they said I needed to do a Freedom of Information Act request, which coming into this on Monday with that information from them, there wasn't enough time to request that. But he did state, he described it as a paper road, which means a line drawn on a map. And, you know, certainly there's a right-of-way there. It exists. But it hasn't, there's nothing been done. So he was hesitant to take any equipment that the fire department has up the road, other than maybe his ATV. He's got one of those Can-Ams or Polaris UTV things that they can go four-wheeling on. So the images depict gravel where we drive on it every day, and grass where we don't because it's not traveled. In fact, there are no residences up there. There is nobody up there. There's no travel. The access, if this can be considered access, it's closed in. I mean, there's no maintained access to the parcel south. I mean, they're welcome to do it, but there's just none. Here's another picture. This is kind of looking back on the school. So I'd be happy to hand these to you guys. You can go through them at your leisure. The master plan, or the most recent plan that we were able to find online that the city planner referenced for us, was put in place back in 2021 or 2022. Destination Middletown. And in one of these, I've got the page for that. It's on page.
Really quick procedural question, Ms. Benegar. If the applicant hands us those photos and we pass it around, can we pass it back to be entered into the record for later?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Continue, sir.
Yeah.
So on page 85 of the most recent master development plan, it lists Miller Road to be connected to Decker Road. I contacted a couple of people I know on Decker. They had no idea that that was the case. You know, the plan to connect to Marshall would require a house, and somebody's entire house is at the end of Marshall. So that, I think you asked about the Fifth Amendment taking. I'm glad you did, because I didn't really know about it either. But that house would be right in the way. So you'd have to convince them, A, to give up their home in order to make that happen, but then acquire whatever else you needed to have for that rest of that right-of-way. Same thing with Decker. You'd be taking a road right through either our land or my neighbor's backyards. It's really unclear how that might work, but Decker's coming off of Sunday Road over in Franklin. I did reach out to a contact. I had just kind of an opinion. He works for Milcon Concrete. He was talking about how he did some work here in Middletown, actually right downtown. All the concrete work on Central was done by him and his crew, Milcon Concrete. And he said, I looked a little closer. The only thing I can think that would stop the city from vacating the right-of-way on the roadways, they have utilities out there. We are not serviced by city water. We are not serviced by city sewer. We are charged a nominal cost for some storm water. I've never been able to figure it out, but it's $2. It just doesn't bother me. He said, I think it would be a relief for the city to not have to fix that thing up. It looks to be in terrible shape, and it is. You know, I don't know that anybody would want to take their normal car up that road because it just hasn't been touched. So for us, we're just looking for an answer. Either it's a road and it should be paved. I mean, we passed a tax levy recently to pave the roads in Middletown. Everybody's familiar with that. Man, pave my road. We love it. Or let's say it's not a road because it hasn't been touched. Megan, maybe you can talk about how long.
So that is my childhood home. I have lived there. I have claimed residence there for all but 10 years when I lived in Colorado. I can remember in middle school that my grandfather was on his tractor putting out a fire, and it was in the journal. And he was on his tractor putting out a fire where Miller Ridge Elementary sits. He has put his life at risk for that property. Sorry. Brielle went through when I was in middle school, and that created a lot of traffic. The 86 acres is my mom's childhood home, and we had to tear it down because of vandalism, because of people thinking that they could trash someone else's land. We are raising our family there, and many of you have sat on and listened to this once before when we went through trying to make any development in that parcel good for Middletown. We are not opposing development by any means. This is not a stop to the development of the 86 acres. This is making sure that the people on that end of town, on our end of town, feel the same respect for the property that is my childhood home, my children. As for some of the other things, at least once every 4 to 6 weeks, I am calling Rumpke to ask why they did not pick up my trash. They said, well, that's a driveway. And I said, well, no, it's not. So we are having to fight with Rumpke. They would not release their records. I did call and ask for a release of records from Rumpke. They would not do so. But we call on a regular basis because our trash is forgotten or not taken. We, out of courtesy, moved our mailbox and put in a package box so that the mailman would not have to come all the way up. We know that we have dogs that are sometimes out, but we move things to the lower end out of courtesy. We even move the trash cans closer to the end, but we still have to fight Amazon coming up and tearing up the road, because they have no idea if it's a road, if it's a driveway, or what they should do. Something that I just took a quick note on, in the staff notes it said that there would be no access, or the only access to the property south of us is Brielle Boulevard, which is not developed. But the owner stated that there was access at Tipperary. When we were talking with Todd Holmes, when we were doing this with Todd Holmes last summer, they were using Tipperary Court as an access point to that property. Now, again, that is not listed in those notes of Destination Middletown. Destination Middletown strategically lists Middletown to Decker. It does not say anything about Miller to Marshall or Miller to Tipperary. But that was going to be one of the entrances for the Todd Homes development that was being proposed last summer. So factually, yes, there is still access to that portion of the land, or to the acreage southwest parcel, thank you. It's been a long week, long year. I think that's all.
I do have a quick question. I'm
For myself or for Megan?
whichever would like to answer, really. I'm just curious as to, I mean, have you spoken to the city council about this matter?
Not yet. It was, when we started this process, it was advised to get this petition going, sign it by adjacent property owners, and everybody was kind of excited about, oh, hey, look at this. There seems to be support for this. A year ago, when we were in this same chamber, it was approximately a year ago, my kids spoke. And such a large number of our neighbors spoke. You guys swore them in mass. You had everybody stand up, which is why I suggested maybe that tonight too. I don't know how many other people may or may not speak on this on our behalf. However, they all want their voice heard. They're not against development. We're not against development. But man, we would sure love it to be the right proposal. And last year it just wasn't. And I think there was a significant amount of heartburn from some of the neighbors that they just weren't informed, that they heard about it through the grapevine instead of from the city. So we're trying to do this the exact right way, which is submit this petition. The explanation is that, man, the road just hasn't been touched. If 2011 is the master plan to put it through to Marshall, we're at 16 years, right? 2011 to now, we're halfway through 2026. That 2011 plan was worked on prior to publishing in 2011, so it's been a long stretch of time for that to actually occur. So if it were to occur, great. We'd get a paved road. I don't have to fight potholes. I could have a car with skinny tires again, but maybe. But it's just, there's just no action. And it seems like, for lack of a better expression, the city wants to have it both ways. They want to have their cake and eat it too. And it's like, if it's a road, let's pave it. Let's maintain it. Do what it needs, do what the city has promised to do with it. And if they're not willing to do that, let's just say that it's not a road right now. It doesn't mean it can't become a road again. As we've said, we're not against development. Right person comes and says, hey, we'd like to build mini farms, or, something quite like Arbor Point. That conversation is going to be had. And then at that point in time, there's roads again. So does that answer your question more or less?
It does, in that you were told to pursue this process by somebody as a first step. Mm-hmm. So, that does answer my direct question. Does anybody else have any questions for the applicants?
I do. Do you two, you own two of the parcels. Is that the 86 acres to the south?
So, no, it is not the 86 acres to the south.
Do you own the property that, that abuts this
Yes.
road to the east?
Yes.
To the east. Okay. And you use that road?
We are the only ones that use that.
Do you have any other access to your property?
We could access, Miller Road, as it sits today, essentially dead ends. It appears to dead end into what would be our driveway. If this street vacation were to occur, we would still have access, because Miller Road would simply end where our driveway started at that point in time.
I think I understand the logistics of that. So you're using, my point is, you're using property right now that doesn't belong to you to access your property. Is that accurate?
Where we're using the right-of-way, yes.
You're using the right-of-way, but do you own, the city of Middletown owns that?
I'm actually really unsure how the ownership of that works. I've heard anything from the city of Middletown owns the rights to use that to each, I've just heard it through the grapevine, so I'm not sure.
Have you had a survey? Do you know whether you own that property on which this vacation requested?
I do not know whether we own it or the city owns it or if the schools owns it. They've suggested we would need to get a new survey if it were to be approved.
So your purpose for this, which the staff has said a purpose was not submitted with the application, your purpose is to force the city or you want the city to pave that and make it a road if it's going to be a road?
If it is a road, it just needs to be maintained and plowed. So
You said you were maintaining it.
we, on accident, when we have to plow ourselves out in the winter, we end up having to create access for ourselves because the city does not come up the road to plow us. So
The applicant did also say that he has seen school staff mowing that.
right.
Initially, it was said, you indicated that you were doing the maintenance on it.
And that is both true. I mow part of it, school mows part of it. A little bit of history from my understanding. My grandfather, again, that other 86 acres, my grandfather owned all of that. He owned where Schroff Acres is, he owned Briel, we had several hundred acres that have been parceled off over the years. That road was created by him. He was the one that brought home stuff from AK to create something so that the school bus could get my mom to school back in the 50s. He was the one that created what looks like a road. He was the one that did all the maintenance. The city never really plowed it. He gave them access so that his daughter could get to school, and in future years, stepdaughter moving in. So he was the one, my grandfather was the one that made the road and gave them permissions to do so. That is my understanding of how that, again, loosely termed road, was created, was by him. He did all the maintenance.
David, to further address a little bit of your question on ownership, I was trying to say that I have heard some people say that each side of the property owns to the middle and the right-of-way just kind of ingresses across from the middle. And I've heard it that, well, the city owns the middle, the road. So I couldn't answer which way it is, but I'm absolutely willing to have the survey done. And if there is land lost from the city, I would compensate them. That's not a question. We'd purchase whatever land needs to happen, just as if you were to use an eminent domain, we would request just compensation just the same way. So,
Does anybody else have any other questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you guys a lot. We're going to see if anybody else wants to speak in support.
Thank you.
Would anybody else like to come up and be sworn in, speak of support? Come on up, ma'am. Thank you.
yeah, thank you.
Raise your right hand, ma'am. You solemnly, excuse me, do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give before this commission will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And identify yourself if you would.
I'm Rebecca Griffith Pike. I was Rebecca Griffith when I moved to Miller. And I am emotional too, because I remember when her grandfather kept a fire from jumping across Miller Road to my house because we didn't have the right access for a fire hydrant, or the city didn't see to it that we had a fire hydrant, so that could be prevented. So yes, I remember when the road was gravel and her grandfather kept it up because it was his ability to do so for her mother. Since then, and the school being built, the end of Miller Road is just a gravel mess. The city hasn't done anything to make that better, and they didn't make it better, or what the reason was when they widened Miller and took part of my yard to make Miller wider for the two subdivisions on either side of me, because there was nothing there for the longest time when I lived on Miller. and had to fight with the city to try to keep my front yard. And they did so. They swung it out to save some of my property and not cut it off. So it's dear to my heart that Middletown treat Miller Road right. And I heard all the discussion with when they talked about putting Arbor Point in, and we got maps, and they talked about how they were gonna, what the city plan was, so that it would be a good fit. And I've been here fighting against baby boomer houses and condos or whatever being built across the street where the school is. And I was here to fight against the cookie cutter houses being built on the other side of River Chase. And I've been here to fight and support them for the cookie cutter houses that they wanted to put on the other side of their property. So we had two properties here that wanted to be used by developers to put in cookie cutter houses, 200 on this side or 200 on this side. And then you increase the traffic by 400 because two people in a household have cars. So I just don't want to see Miller Road abused. If you're going to have development, okay, but do it the right way. And put homes in there that correlate to what is around us. Nice homes, I'm not against development, but do it right, make it a good fit. Because once you go down Riverview, when I moved, Riverview was, just a little street, and then it went down, and then there was just the condos and property. Well, now you got Sawyer Point, and Riverview goes from Brea all the way out to Old 25. And you go down in there, and these houses are these little bitty houses with little bitty yards, and they're 2-story, and they're not attractive. So we want nice homes that fit with our neighborhood. I love my street. Now, I don't love it as much as I did back when I had no neighbors, and it was just a little gravel road. Before they finished Miller Road, you had to come off of Van Nest, and you had to go up a big hill, and my Jeep with the big-ass tires could get up the hill. So some of you who've lived here in Middletown for a long time may remember how Miller Road was. So yes, I'm glad that it's improved, and it's a quiet neighborhood, and that's people like to walk it. And then you got Miller Ridge, and that's a pretty area. Arbor Point and River Chase, I can walk my neighborhood. And I don't have to worry about all the traffic. I have to worry about NASCAR Nancy's driving up and down Miller getting their kids from school. But nobody obeys that traffic rule with children on the road. People drive up down Miller Road too fast. So if you're going to put development in, it can't be this congested 220 number homes and create this mass of cars. You just have to think about it. So let's keep Miller Road nice and try to maintain what they're trying to deal with when they start to think about how they want to expand and use that property whenever that time comes. And that's it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Would anybody else like to speak in favor? Seeing none, we will move to anybody who would like to speak in opposition. Please come forward. Please come forward and be sworn in. Oh, well,
You're an attorney at law, are you not?
I am.
He doesn't need to be.
fair enough.
I tried. You don't need to be sworn, sir.
Okay.
I believe so, counsel.
Excuse me?
I mean, if you would like to provide testimony, that would require, okay. Go ahead and swear him in. Yeah.
You solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give before this commission will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
If you'd identify yourself, sir.
I will. My name is Patrick O'Neill. I'm an attorney at the law firm of Coors and Bassett. I represent Amy Ernst, who is the owner of the real property located at 4822 Miller Road. Miss Ernst, and this wasn't, Miss Ernst is the aunt of the petitioner. So when we're talking about her grandfather, this is my client's father, who owned that property. So the only access to my client's property at 4822 Miller Road is Miller Road and that public right-of-way. There's no other way to get there. We can talk about what Todd Holmes was doing back in the day, but there's no road there. There's no way to get there. So to vacate that public right-of-way would deny my client access to her property. Now, that property is currently being used. It's being used as an agricultural property. I understand that hay or alfalfa is being grown on it, and there's a tractor that goes down and takes it. But any vacation would deny Ms. Ernst ingress and egress to her property. Obviously, the better result is what the planning department has already determined, what the staff's already determined, is that the petition should be denied so that Ms. Ernst can continue to access her property. She's not interested in filing a lawsuit to continue to have the right to access her property that she already has. She would just like the status quo to stay as it is. Whether they're, and I appreciate what everybody who's testified, I appreciate what they say, but whether there are cookie cutter houses or Amazon can't get back there or Rumpke can't be, that has no bearing at all on the access. And I think the law director has advised you that, Ohio law is that if you deny access, that's going to be a taking. And you're going to have, the residents of the city of Middletown are going to have to pay for that. So I would just ask that this planning commission, I appreciate you listening to me, but I would recommend that they listen to what the staff says, listen to what the law director says, and if they want to improve Miller Road, if they want to come in and pave it and make it all nice, that's fine. All we're saying is that you can't take it away from us and landlock 68 acres in the middle of Middletown. So if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anybody else who wishes to speak in opposition? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing and move into deliberation.
It's like one of the big questions is who owns the property?
Mhm.
Who owns it and is it a road? Is it a road? Was it deemed a road?
I'm not really sure that's an issue, though.
It is
Well, I mean,
public,
was
it is public right-of-way, it is a road.
It is a road. So then who owns it?
It's city, it's the
Whoever
city of
owns it makes no
Middletown.
difference.
Oh, okay, so that already gets past.
It is not, it's
Even though
not
I
a
asked the
parcel.
question.
No, you're right, yeah, because I was,
I meant the ownership of the right of way.
so ownership of the right of way.
So there is an actual right of way there.
Yes, that's why they've filed a motion to vacate. There wouldn't be a need to file a motion to petition to vacate if the right of way wasn't publicly owned.
I don't know, just looking at everything that's been presented between, the Fifth Amendment taking, claim that, that could be, levied against the city, and the fact that, whether or not it was intentional, that the street vacation petition is not, completely procedurally deficient is the word, or the words used there. There's just not a very strong basis for approving this vacation in my mind. However, it is pretty obvious that there is something that is being touched on here that is causing, issues for our residents, and that really needs to be addressed by the city council in some way. But I just, that's kind of a little bit beyond the scope of the immediate case here in front of us. Does anybody else have any other thoughts?
If you look at the review criteria,
Mr. Cash, could you just make sure you're speaking into the mic so that we catch it for the recording?
Thank you. If I can, I'll lean this way. Thank you. Well, if you look at the review criteria, number one, the vacation of the requested right-of-way should not be detrimental to the general interest. It's clear that this right-of-way is, as council indicated, is the only current ingress and egress to that property. Clearly, that's going to be detrimental to, and I think the staff even mentioned it, for future development purposes, that would be extremely detrimental. And then I look at the second review criteria and really don't see a good cause other than the Schmaleys are requesting that the city do something with this property on the right-of-way which is on the property. And I guess that's up to the city to determine whether or not they do anything to that right-of-way as far as usability is concerned. So I just don't see any legal basis or review criteria basis for granting the application, or petition, I should say.
I'd also like to say that it's odd to me that the public would have access to this road that doesn't even go through the property, it dead ends. It kind of rubs me the wrong way that there would be public traffic going into a dead-end road, in and out of it, and that the city wouldn't be upkeeping it. It doesn't sound right to me. This is probably not the appropriate means of appealing to the city. It seems like more of a kind of a trick than an actual strategy here, so I would be inclined to deny the application. But I do want to note that I think it's inappropriate that the city owns the right-of-way. The public are allowed to go in and out of it, and yet it's not being upkept. That's a problem.
When we make the motion, what I imagine whoever makes it would make it based off of the criteria here listed for the staff recommendation. But is it within the power of our board to attach a recommendation that the city moves? No? Okay.
You're just recommending approval or denial of the petition.
Fair enough. Just wanted to clarify. Okay. Well, based off of everything that's been presented, I'm going to go ahead and make a motion to deny the application, and I'm going to cite the review criteria 1 and 2.
I'll second. Yeah, sorry.
Mr. Mentel,
Yes to deny.
Mr. Daniel, Ms. Griffith,
Yes to deny.
Mr. Cash,
Yes to deny.
Ms. Ramsey, and Mr. Shainline.
Yes to deny.
Okay, moving forward, we have the case 626. This is located at the address of 2612 Titus Avenue. It is a conditional use permit that has been submitted by Next Gen Motors in order to propose an automotive sales and leasing business. Ms. Binniger, take it away.
Yes, so this application comprises a total of 2 parcels shown on the screen. The subject parcels equate to a total of just over a half an acre in a Zone B2 Community Business District. Under the B2 zoning designation, where automotive sales and leasing use type is proposed on a lot that is less than 4 acres in size and has a lot frontage of less than 200 feet, the use requires approval of a conditional use application according to Chapter 120409, D19A of the Middletown Development Code. Getting into property background, according to the Butler County Auditor's website, the subject properties comprise a total of just over half an acre. The property does contain a 768 square foot structure that was built in 1958, which last sold on October 28th, 2022. The parcel has an approximate 120.5 foot street frontage on Titus Avenue. I will not read the purpose statement to you all. I think you're pretty familiar with that. Getting into staff analysis and review of the applications submitted as compared to the city's adopted plans and regulation, staff finds the following. Looking at Middletown Development Code, the use-specific standards for automotive sales and leasing use type. Already went over the total acreage as well as the approximate street frontage. The site plan submitted does not show any proposed screening. Titus Avenue is identified in the city's street master plan as a collector street, not an arterial street. the subject parcel is not adjacent to a residential zoning district regarding the loudspeakers playing between the hours of 8 p.m. and 8 a.m. A dealer's license has not been submitted by the applicant, and as covered in the property background, a permanent structure is located on the subject parcels. And to the right, you can see the submitted site plan, not to scale, showing where cars will be parked. Then looking at Destination Middletown, the subject property is located in the city's mixed residential land use category, which is defined primarily as a mix of residential housing types and styles. It does support a range of housing styles and price points that cater to a variety of lifestyles and preferences, with focus on promoting the development of new detached single-family homes. And the subject parcel is also located in the city's University Northern Braille Development Opportunity Area. No comments have been received from the public to date, and no additional comments from city staff at this time. As for staff recommendation, based on the information provided by the applicant's submission, staff recommends denial of the application for the following reasons. Where Titus Avenue is defined as a collector street in the city's 2011 Street Master Plan, the requirements of Chapter 120409 D19C is not met, so that use-specific standard where the use shall be on an arterial street. Destination Middletown's future land use designation for the subject property does not support the proposed use. Therefore, the proposed use is not consistent with the spirit, purpose, or intent of Destination Middletown or the Middletown Development Code. Here's the review criteria for a conditional use application. The additional criteria and conditions, the time limit, and the appeals process. And that will conclude my staff report.
Thank you, Ms. Benninger. Does anybody have any questions for staff? No? Okay, we'll go ahead and move to the public hearing. Anybody who would like to speak in favor of this application, please come forward and be sworn in.
Sir, do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give before this commission will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And if you'd identify yourself.
My name is Byron Moore. I am the owner of Next Gen Motors.
Can you just make sure that you speak into the microphone so that we can capture it for the record?
Okay. I don't know if I understood this correctly, but was the application denied?
That's this meeting. We are going over your application, whether it meets the criteria, and we want to hear from the public, and so that's like we're in the process of deciding that right now.
So I spoke to somebody in the zoning department who said this location could be approved for used vehicle sales. But anyway, with my presentation, I'm respectfully asking the council to grant approval of the conditional use of 2612 Titus to operate as a used car dealership. This location will be used as a low volume, low inventory lot, which it was previously used for. The proposed operation will consist solely of retail sales of pre-owned passenger vehicles with a maximum display of 15 vehicles at any given time. The limited inventory will ensure orderly display and minimal impact to traffic in the area, and there will be no mechanical repair, bodywork, dismantling, or salvage operations performed on site. There will be no expansion to the existing structure, but there will be improvements made to the interior with minimal changes made to the exterior, which it's been vacant for quite some time, so it needs to be renovated. And I have some renderings of what that will look like if you want to take a look.
Yes, we'll take those and look at them, and then they'll be entered into the record. Does anybody have any questions for the applicant?
If I could ask staff for the definition of an arterial street versus a collector street?
Continue on with the testimony, and I can look that up.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I don't really have any questions other than, oh, do you already have a dealership license? I did see it was noted in here that one had not been submitted yet.
So in the state of Ohio, you have to have everything in place, your location, office space, all that. So can't get issued a dealer's license until you get the location together.
I understand. And then just because I wanted to just address your confusion at the matter at the beginning. So the way that our zoning code works is that there, for the use that you're proposing, there's some minimum thresholds that need to be met on the amount of square footage or area and the frontage and on what kind of street it can be on. So those are the kind of things that we're reviewing right now.
Okay,
But I just wanted to clarify that for you.
thank you.
Sir, are there, on Titus there at this property, are there two curb cuts or just one curb cut going into the lot?
There's two.
Two? Okay.
Are you planning any improvements to the lot outside of the building, bushes and trees or anything like that?
Well, it's basically all pavement. There is a grassy area in the back, which obviously will be maintained, but as far as any landscaping or anything, no.
Sir, if screening, do you know what screening is? That's, you've got to kind of put a buffer between you and other properties. Are you willing, if we would grant this, approve this, are you willing to, have you discussed with staff the screening requirements and whether you could do that with your property here?
No, but I plan to be completely in compliance with, whatever that is.
Okay, thank you.
And Ms. Spinegar, were you able to find that definition that Mr. Cash requested?
Yeah, let's continue with the testimony. We can,
Okay.
once the public hearing is closed.
Okay.
Good, thank you.
Well, does anybody have any further questions for the applicant? No. No? Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else who would like to speak in favor? Okay.
Do you both swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give before this commission will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
And if you'll, as we've done before, if one of you would talk at this, and then the other can supplement, and if you'd identify yourself, ma'am.
Absolutely. Thank you, Commission. My name is Rachel Lewitt. I am with Finkelman Real Estate, 1400 Central Avenue. I am also the owner of Ramat Redevelopment Group, LLC, which is the owner of this property. My husband is Matthew Armbruster, and he can speak for himself. But we're very, very happy and excited to be here with Mr. Moore and his beautiful friend and agent, Kia Frazier. They came to us in the wintertime when it was extremely difficult to even think about looking at a property because they were so excited about this property at 2612 Titus Avenue. Just to give you some history, this property has been owned by my family for decades. I took over in 2004. We actually had an automobile use business at that location during that time and forever. People still might recall who was located there, Wade Williams. He did just a phenomenal business. Since then, it has been vacant. I have entertained multiple offers over the last decade for this property, none of which were actually feasible. I have had tons, I don't even know how many people call me for a car lot there. People want to do a car lot there. It's as simple as that. It makes sense. It was very successful in the past. Really nothing has changed except some of the development codes, which I very much respect and appreciate. However, this location is outstanding for a car use. I did not enter into any other agreements with anyone else who wanted to do a car lot because simply they were not as organized. They did not seem to have the financial stability or the sense on how to truly make a successful business. And if we are going to part ways with a property, we want to make sure that the hands we place it in is someone who will do good for Middletown. And I firmly believe that they will do good for Middletown. They have done their renderings. I think some information was not clear for them, and I am happy to help work with the city in looking at screening and what else may need to be done. And I don't want to speak for them, but they're likely open to that and seeing what can they do to make this work. We originally transferred this property into our own possession to open up an ice cream shop. And we love to make ice cream, but we also have 2 full-time businesses running real estate and a flower and garden center. So right now just is not the time for us. So we were holding this property while we did our architectural renderings, working with the city departments on how we can open up a successful ice cream shop there, which we had planned to do. But they did come along and are very prepared. Unfortunately, some of the technical items have not been met, and I'm certain that they would be happy to work with us to make sure that we could make the city happy and the commission happy, because ultimately we want to put this property back into productive use, and this can do that. This can increase the tax base for the city and bring more businesses from outside of the city into Middletown, which we do need. People who can run a business and be successful. We did speak with a neighbor next door, Lewis Construction, who have owned the property forever next door. We actually owned the property prior to them and sold it to them. They are also trying very, very hard to put their property back into productive use. The neighbor on the other side is the old fire station, and quite frankly, nothing has been going on with that since it was sold. So this block is very underutilized, and we have an opportunity at our doorstep to really make progress for our city. And these wonderful people are willing to do that and willing to invest in Middletown. So we are here to ask for your acceptance and approval of the conditional use permit respectfully. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, I don't think I can follow up after that, other than I am for it. And I was going to talk about Scott and all that, so I don't have anything else. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have any questions?
I do, ma'am. Lewis Construction, that's to the south of this property, or south, kind of southwest?
Southwest, yes, sir.
Is that,
Lewis Consolidated Construction.
Yeah. Is there, the photograph in the packet here, I can't tell if that, are these photographs in the, on the PowerPoint or on the, okay.
No.
But is there a barrier between this property and Lewis Construction? Is that some type of a white
It's their
fence of
wall.
some sort?
It's their back wall, their building.
Oh, that's the building's back wall. Okay, so there is, currently, there's no physical barrier between the two properties. Okay.
So next door at the old firehouse, they've had wrestling matches and things in the parking lot for several years also before. And we've had issues with that as well.
Yeah, it's time. It's time to get this back into productive use. That will be a positive influence in the city of Middletown and positive for the surrounding neighbors as well.
I don't have any photographs of the properties across Titus. What's across Titus?
It basically just goes down to Verity Parkway, so there's CVS and a variety of other businesses along Verity Parkway in that location. It overlooks Verity Parkway.
I believe this is right above that U-Haul, right?
Yeah, the U-Haul, mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. And honestly, this is what people want, because I just cannot tell you how many prospects I've had interested in putting a used not just a used car lot, brand new cars, anything regarding cars. And again, they're not going to be doing maintenance, all of that. It is for sales and leasing.
Does anybody else have any other questions? No? Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much for your consideration.
Is there anybody else who would like to speak in favor? Okay, seeing none. Would anybody like to speak in opposition? Seeing none, we'll move to deliberation. And Claire, if you would have that definition for our deliberation.
Yeah, so a major arterial street, it would be either a major or minor, is defined by the Middletown Development Code as a principal arterial street where streets are designed for the movement of large amounts of fast traffic between points of heavy traffic generation, such as freeways, large residential areas, or businesses in industrial areas, and from one section of community or communities to another. Major arterial streets have the widest right-of-ways and carry the largest volumes of traffic within the city. A minor arterial street, so there's two types of arterial streets, is defined as a minor arterial street are intended to collect and distribute traffic in a manner similar to principal arterial streets, except that these streets service smaller traffic generating uses in areas within the city and can serve in place of collector streets for the purposes of moving traffic between other collector streets and the freeway or other arterial streets. A collector street is defined as collector streets are designed to collect and distribute traffic between local access streets and other minor streets to arterial streets and freeways. There's a typo in there.
Just to clarify, this is one of the Titus is a collector street, not an arterial
It is a
street.
collector street. You saw the street master plan map on the last presentation. However, the map is also in your staff packet for this case.
Well, looking at the review criteria, it does seem that the proposed use, it does contradict what the current destination Middletown master plan has established as being like desirable uses for the area, and it does not. Yeah, it doesn't comply with the use-specific standards by virtue of not being located on an arterial street. But it does have quite a history of being a car lot. So, does anybody else have any thoughts?
Looks like it matches, it's not, it wouldn't stick out.
Mm-hmm.
It's low value.
If we all know where this surely is not residential.
No.
No, I mean,
Dense.
there's some residential
There is.
nearby, but it's on another block.
But you've got an area of Middletown which is not extremely busy as far as traffic is concerned along Titus. Obviously, Verity Parkway, over which this is very close to the intersection.
It runs parallel too.
Yeah.
Up the hill from Verity Parkway.
Please make sure you focus on your review criteria, not on if it would stand in or stand.
I'm trying to. Yeah, I am. And I understand that it may not meet some of those criteria. However, it surely doesn't seem that this use, if granted, would be detrimental to let's see if I can find.
I think you're talking about number 7, not detri,
Number 7, the proposed use would not involve activities or operations that would be detrimental to any person's property or the general welfare by reason of excessive production of traffic. a used car lot with 15 cars on it is obviously not going to be the same as a Sweeney Chevrolet in Hamilton County. Traffic is probably going to be minimal, so noise, smoke, fumes, glare, or odors obviously wouldn't be pertinent.
I think it would help staff in the eventual drafting of a decision if you went just in sequential order with the review criteria here and addressed each item so that they can draft it accordingly, whatever you decide.
Is there anything else anybody else would like to add? No.
I get that it kind of sits in the middle of a commercial area on Verity, and it's sandwiched between a commercial area on Verity and then pretty densely populated neighborhood behind it. But I'm thinking that the residential area behind it, there's a lot of houses back there, a lot of folks who live there. I know that this is within view of the Gardner mansion and the bank. It is not within view of that? Okay.
We're closed with the.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's nearby. It's nearby. Both the Gardner mansion and the, what's it called? It's the bank. Pretty brick bank.
The old Chase.
Right.
CVS is, so that's.
So I'm not sure that I agree that it serves the neighborhood that it's going in. But I will, my vote, I'll stick to the standards on my vote. I just wanted to mention that.
Well, does anybody else have anything they would like to add?
I mean, that property's not really serving the neighborhood now.
That's true.
It's been empty for quite a while.
Well, the car lot turned into CVS, so.
We have a lot of car lots in town. We don't really need another one, but we have a lot of them under 5 acres or 4 acres. I don't really understand the 4-acre requirement. It seems to require a large party to own a car lot. Kind of keeps the smaller people at bay. So, I kind of don't really think much of the size requirement.
Well, I am going to move to deny in accordance with the criteria. I'm going to cite criteria 2, 3, and 6, as in they don't meet them. So just to say it, the proposed use is not consistent with the spirit, purpose, and intent. It doesn't comply with the use-specific standards, and I agree with the points made over here. It seems like it might be, but it's not really harmonious with the existing neighborhood, in my opinion. So I'm going to move to deny based on 2, 3, and 6. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
We have some discussion because I needed to know, at this point, once a motion's been made and seconded, is it still subject to discussion?
At this point, it's to be voted on.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Mento?
Yes to deny.
Mr. Daniel?
I vote no for denial.
So you wish to approve the application?
Well, the present motion is just to deny. So this is,
So
Okay.
No, it's
Yeah.
proper.
Just no. Okay. Ms. Griffith?
I'm gonna vote no.
Mr. Cash?
No.
Ms. Ramsey? No. And Mr. Shainline?
Yes,
To deny?
to deny.
okay, so the motion to deny the application fails. Now, you're welcome to re-engage in discussion, Mr. Cash, if you'd like to.
I'm looking at, let me ask this question. I'm looking at the review criteria. It doesn't indicate that each and every criteria has to be satisfied. It just says conditional uses are subject to review under the criteria of this section as applicable, without it indicating that it has to be all of those criteria, can we, if the motion was to be made to approve the application, citing the criteria that would be applicable to that motion, is that how I interpret this?
So sometimes there are criteria that are inapplicable to a particular case.
Okay.
And I would say no single criteria is necessarily dispositive, but there are some that the commission could deem to be weighing more heavily than others. So that'll happen from time to time.
Thank you. With that being said, I would move that the application be approved. Number one, obviously, it's a conditional use that is allowed in the zoning district. Number four, of course, there's indications that the building is going to be would have the similar landscaping. My motion would be conditional upon the owner of the property complying with all development criteria as far as screening is concerned, and noise and signage, anything that would apply to this property as a conditional use for a car lot, which I think is what number 5 indicates, that that the use would comply with all development standards. I agree that it's harmonious with the existing character of the general vicinity, and it won't change the essential character. Apparently, the use will not involve activities, processes, materials, equipment, or conditions that will be detrimental to any person's property or general welfare by reason of excessive production of traffic, noise, smoke, fumes, glare, or odors. This street being a collector, I would see that this property would not create an interference with the traffic on surrounding public thoroughfares. Number 10, that the use would not impede the normal and orderly development, improvement of the surrounding property for uses permitted in the district. And I think all those criteria are and I should have numbered those for you as I went.
Here, I think I might have got them for you. So you want to do it by criteria 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 10?
Yes.
Would anybody like to second that?
I'll second.
Go ahead.
Mr. Mentel?
Just to clarify, a yes in this case would be to approve. No.
Mr. Daniel?
Yes.
Ms. Griffith?
Yes.
Mr. Cash?
Yes.
Ms. Ramsey? Yes. And Mr. Shainline?
No.
Okay, moving on. We have case 726. This is at 1108 Central Avenue. It is another conditional use permit that has been submitted by the applicant, Talina Crooms. It is to establish an event center located at this address. It is in the Urban Core Central Subdistrict, and Ms. Vinegar, please take it away.
Thank you. Under the UCC designation, Assembly Hall and Conference Center use types are a conditional use which require Planning Commission review and approval. Getting into property background, according to the Butler County Auditor's website, the subject parcel is a total of 0.1403 acres with a multi-store front structure that was built in 1895. The applicant plans to occupy 1,492 square feet of the 24,788 total gross building area. And the property, or the parcel, was last transferred on December 19th, 2016. And the last documented use of the property was a retail service commercial use, a gift shop. So the purpose of the UCC subdistrict is listed. I don't think I need to read it to you. But this property is also located in the city's Central Avenue Historic District. This is important because any exterior alterations, restoration, reconstruction, demolition, or new construction will be subject to the certificate of appropriateness application process. Additionally, any material changes to the exterior, including signage, lighting, awnings, etc., will be subject to the certificate of appropriateness application process. Getting into staff analysis, looking at destination, there's no use specific standards, so we're moving through the Middletown Development Code. It's a conditional use. So looking at the destination Middletown, the subject property is located in the city's downtown special interest area, which defers to the land use recommendations identified in the downtown strategic plan, as well as the urban core development opportunity area. So getting into the urban core development opportunity area, as the proposed use is located in the tourism use category within the development code, the proposed use aligns with the desire for commercial development that includes retail and recreational or entertainment uses. Looking at the downtown strategic plan, the adopted plan calls for the policy of grow, attract, move, and live. The first plan principle within attract strategically is to make downtown Middletown a unique event destination, which definitely goes with an event center. No public comments have been received to date. However, we do have some other department comments. Police department has asked what types of events will be held at the location proposed. Will there be sale of food and alcohol? Will vendors be required to be licensed? The health department has asked, will the event center obtain a liquor license? Fire department has stated the size of the area identified in the sketch will limit the number of occupants in the location. Community and Economic Development Department has asked, where will guests park when they attend an event? As for staff recommendation, based on the information provided by the applicant's submission, staff recommends that the Planning Commission move to approve the proposed application for a conditional use permit located at 1108 Central Avenue, contingent upon the following: that all permits are applied for and approved by the applicable city departments, that all fees are paid prior to the issuance of the certificate of zoning compliance, that all new signage for the business be submitted for review and approval to the city's Historic Commission, and that the windows of the subject structure storefront remain free of view and obstruction. Here is the conditional use review criteria, additional criteria and conditions, the time limit process, or the time limit, and the appeals process, and that will conclude my staff report.
Thank you, Ms. Benninger. Does anybody have any questions for staff?
1108, can you give me a landmark so I have an idea of where this is?
Yeah.
Right next to Triple Moon.
Triple Moon is to
thank
the
you.
right.
That helped. Triple Moon, I think everybody knows Triple Moon. Okay.
Across the street from the Pendleton.
Yeah. Are there any, the question here by Community and Economic Development was parking. Are there any requirements for a storefront, parking requirements?
All parking requirements are exempt in our UCC.
Okay.
There is definitely city-owned parking lots behind, as well as street parking.
As well as on the other side of the opposite block. It's kind of surrounded by parking.
Okay.
There should be some almost directly behind us, too. Did you get an answer to your questions as to the use and
No,
how many people? Are they going to get liquor permits?
definitely have that during the public hearing.
Okay, well, seeing as that there's no other questions for staff, we'll go ahead and open this up to the public. Anybody who would like to speak in favor, please come forward and be sworn in by Mr. Cash. Please come forward.
Raise your right hand, ma'am. You solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give before this commission will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. And identify yourself, please.
Yes, I'm Talina Crooms.
And your address or like where you reside?
Where I reside, I stay in 1400 Blairwood Avenue in Dayton, Ohio. 45417.
And are you the applicant?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I did see that looks like a couple of our city departments had some questions for you. They're here on the screen. Feel free to take a second and read them and respond to them as you would wish.
Okay. If I may I read what I
Yeah, go ahead.
about for you guys? Okay, so the Peak Event Center aims to provide an affordable and versatile venue for a variety of events in Middletown, Ohio. Our mission is to create memorable experience for families and communities while fostering local development and contributing to the economy. The center will host birthday parties, wedding receptions, repasts, and other events, making it a valuable asset to the community. The Pink Event Center will occupy a strategically located space that is easily accessible for residents of Middletown and surrounding areas. Our facility will offer accommodating small gatherings, compatible pricing to ensure that events are accessible to all income levels, and equipped with a small kitchen, not a full set kitchen with a stove or anything like that, where guests can set up their dinner, they can bring their own food and everything. We will not supply the food or anything. They will supply their own food. We will not be having liquor license because that's not, the event center is just basically for anyone who wants to come in to hosting their own party and everything. I'm sorry, I'm kind of nervous. The target market, local families and individuals seeking affordable venues for personal celebrations, community organizations needing space for meetings, workshops, and events, wedding planners looking for unique budget-friendly options. While there are other event venues in the area, the Pink Event Center will differentiate itself through the focus on affordable community involvement and personalized service. We would like to partner with local businesses and organizations to host community events and promote the venue. Utilize platforms like Facebook and Instagram to showcase what we're offering, because we have had people asking and we just told them, like, just hold on for a second, let us get through this part right here. Okay. And we will maintain the venue to ensure cleanliness and readiness for events. We are seeking to have like our own small team to help out with those who wants to run an event there. And we just want to be able to bring something new to Middletown. This is my first time being here in Middletown to open a business. I am a business owner as well of a cleaning business that I have for 14 years now. Started from Cincinnati because I'm originally from Cincinnati. And I also have a women's boutique in Dayton, Ohio that I've been running for 4 years. So this would be my first time doing an event center, and it's always been a dream of mine to do so. And like I said, because after doing homework here, and the event centers that I've heard, they're very costly. And I just want to be able to provide a sufficient and affordable event center. It doesn't have to be too big. I just like to see people be able to afford what they can afford somewhere else and everything. So.
Yes, thank you. Let's see. Do you know like what kind of events that you're obviously a variety, but with the fire department's comment in mind that the size might limit the number of occupants, like there are certain types of events that you're likely.
Like I said, like small birthday parties. I'm quite sure like some people don't have big weddings, you know, so like a small wedding gathering or a repast after a funeral. After exploring some places where they run event like repasts and things, it's small, like when, excuse me, but when my mother passed away back in 23 and I had a repass down in Cincinnati, it was like the same size as this, and we had a total of, I want to say 30 people that were able to fit in that building, and that is okay with me. I don't really like big crowds, really. I like to have a safe environment for everyone, so just small gatherings, nothing too big, nothing too major.
Would you accept business, I guess, requests from like local associations, like a local
Oh, yeah.
historic association to have a meeting there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Any idea what the price point is?
I haven't thought that.
Is that allowed?
No, I haven't thought that far yet. I'm still my assistant. We're still working on that to try to go over prices and everything. But I'm quite sure I'm quite sure if you hear the prices, you'll be like, oh wow, I would like that event center. So.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there anybody else who would like to speak in favor of the application? Seeing none, is there anybody who would like to speak in opposition? And once again, seeing none, we will go ahead and move into deliberation. Does anybody have any thoughts?
Sorry, can you speak into that mic?
I agree with staff recommendation. I do think it is something aligned with what they're trying to bring to the city, so I think it'd be great.
I like the idea of a more affordable option for things like weddings and meetings and parties. I think it could also, bring more business in, and possibly the competition and the higher traffic could be beneficial for, places like the Windermere and this, whatever this place will be called. I also, the vacant landlord issue is a big problem downtown. This helps to chip away at that, so I would support it for that reason as well.
Anybody else have anything they'd like to add? No? Okay, well, I'm going to make a motion to approve, and I'm going to cite criteria 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6.
I'll second.
Is that just as submitted or per staff?
Oh, what per staff recommendation? Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
And are you seconding with staff recommendation?
Yeah.
Mr. Mentel?
Yes.
Mr. Daniel?
Yes.
Ms. Griffith?
Yes.
Mr. Cash?
Yes.
Ms. Ramsey?
Yes.
And Mr. Shainline?
Yes.
Okay, moving on. We now have case 926. This is located at 413 South Briel Boulevard. It is a request for an alternative alternative equivalent review. I cannot read. It's been submitted by the applicant, Joel Gilbert, PE, on behalf of the owner, Middletown Properties Company Limited, for a Dutch Bros Coffee located at this parcel. Ms. Vinegar, take it away.
Yes, so this is for a total of just over a half-acre site. I do want to go over what this application really is. This is the first one, I believe, for you guys. Alternative equivalent compliance shall only apply to the specific site for which it is requested. Does not establish a precedent for assured approval of other requests. And this is not meant to act as a variance or a waiver of requirements. It is a equivalent review or better offered by the applicant. And it is only focused on what has been applied for in the application or the narrative that was provided in your staff packet. So solely focusing on what is on the presentation and how it compares to the review criteria. So getting into property background, according to the Butler County Auditor's website, the current parcel as it exists today is a total of 11.9954 acres with a multi-tenant shopping center structure that has a total of 155,423 square feet of gross building area. The structure on the parcel was constructed in 1960, and the subject property was last transferred on August 6, 2024. This is located in the B2 zoning district, and the subject property is surrounded by the following zoning districts: R3 zoning district to the north, and B2 zoning district to the east, south, and west. Getting into staff analysis, looking at the Middletown Development Code and what they are proposing to be equivalent to or better than our regulations. So looking at Chapter 12-1004 B2B, requirements for new construction of non-residential buildings, building orientation, and entrances. There is not a proposed front door to be used by the public to gain access to the 986 square foot structure. While we do require new non-residential construction to have a front door, the applicant has stated due to the Dutch Bros building not being accessible to the public and only occupied by employees, a main entrance door is not included. Employees will enter and exit the building along the south face. However, the walk-up service counter does face the primary frontage along Brill Boulevard, so a walk-up window is acting in lieu of a front door. In summary, the applicant proposes Okay. Now looking at the landscape buffering requirements, the landscape buffer shown on the northern edge of the proposed development area does not align with options 1, 2, or 3 of buffer type A. The applicant states that the proposed landscaping does not meet the tree planting requirements due to the limited separation between the proposed access and Brill Boulevard. In order to provide improved site areas, tree plantings are not included in the proposed buffer. Instead, a mixture of lower height shrub species are shown. These plantings will be limited to a 30-inch tall species to provide greater visibility. Pertaining to the buffer area requirement, a vast majority of the identified development does fall within the protected intersection visibility, as explained in Chapter 120805 of the Middletown Development Code, and a brief picture from our code is pulled up and displayed here. The applicant proposes to buffer the northern border of the parcel with a continuous installation of 22 blue rug juniper evergreen shrubs and 25 evergreen shrubs to not exceed 30 inches in height. In summary, rather than a small portion of the northern border being buffered with a type A buffer, the applicant proposes a larger continuous buffer within and in accordance with the areas subject to Chapter 120805 intersection visibility, as an alternative to a smaller type A buffer. Next, looking at the vehicle stacking space requirements, there is not a raised median between the two stacking lanes. The applicant states the proposed site plan currently shows a median with painted striping. This is intended to improve employee safety in the drive-through lanes. Based on the Dutch Bros business model of using a runner system, a raised barrier between the drive-through lanes poses a tripping hazard. However, the proposed menu boards between the two drive-through lanes include a curb concrete median with bollards to prevent cars from damaging signage. Based on the high amount of employee foot traffic through the drive-through lanes, a painted median will reduce the likelihood of trips and falls. In summary, a flat painted median is proposed as the alternative to a raised median to ensure employee safety with the business model. One phone call has been received to date. The nearby property owner spoke in support of the development. As for other department comments, from Public Works and Engineering, the City of Middletown will review the submitted trip generation study and verify if a traffic impact study is needed. And Fire Department has stated there is a concern regarding a fire truck's ability to maneuver the turning radius of the parking lot. Further review of the site will be needed to ensure access is adequate. As for staff recommendation, based on the information provided by the applicant's submission, staff recommends that Planning Commission approve the alternatives provided in the alternative equivalent review request for a proposed Dutch Bros Coffee located at 413 South Brill, contingent upon the following. All permits are applied for and approved by the applicable city departments, and all fees are paid prior to the issuance of the certificate of zoning compliance. The review criteria for alternative equivalent review is on the screen, as well as conditions, decisions, limit, and appeals process. And that will conclude my staff report.
To start, I do have a question about how this is structured. So, are these 3 component parts that are part of the same like the same package, or are we going to be considering these like semi-individually? Or like, is it something that, like, if we approve one, all three are granted, or can we approve? I'm just curious about how that works.
I think it's for all together with the application.
Okay. Does anybody else have anything to ask staff?
I'm still confused about the mechanism of alternative compliance. I don't know, you explained it early on. Could you go through that? It's not a variance or
It's not a variance or a waiver.
a waiver.
Essentially saying, your code requires this, A, but I'm proposing B, which meets the intent of A, or it's better than what A is required.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
That made it simple for me. And the proposal here, and the applicant, I assume, is here. This is for a freestanding business to be erected
Yes.
in the parking lot of the Middletown Shopping Plaza.
Yes, so it would be at this corner.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah,
This specific case only covers these three items in front of us, not.
oh, I know, I know.
I just
was trying to visually understand where it was going to be.
Does anybody else have anything they would like to ask staff? No? Okay. Well, we'll move ahead into the public hearing. So anybody that would like to speak in favor, please come forward and be sworn in by Mr. Cash.
Sir, do you solemnly, please raise your right hand. You solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give before this commission will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
And if you'll identify yourself, thanks.
Yes, my name is Mitch Nosane. I'm with the developer who's building this project. I really don't have a lot to say. Just wanted to come up here and say we're excited about the project and excited about taking this vacant land here and turning it into a business. So that's really all I had, and happy to answer any questions that y'all might have.
So is this a pretty typical setup for this business here, as far as you're aware? The Dutch Bros model, they don't have like an interior lobby?
Correct. Correct. Yep. They. I have not seen one with. They've done some retrofits of maybe old fast food restaurants, but at this point, everything new is this model. Yep.
Anybody have anything else that they would like to ask the applicant? No.
Chairman, I had one question. I apologize. I didn't find this in the drawings, but the ingress and egress off of Batsy Drive, is that changing at all? Is that slope changing?
It is being modified. There's currently, I don't know if I'm speaking currently. There's two cuts currently, and we're going to be taking one cut away and moving the cut further away from the intersection, just for the safety of the overall intersection.
Well,
I'm not sure if that shows it. Yeah.
Okay,
it shows
that's
it a
what
little bit
I
better.
thought. I suspected maybe. Yeah, but just the steepness of it is not.
Oh, the steepness is we're planning on grading that a little bit less than what it is. Obviously, it's Batsy goes up a little ways, but the plan is to grade that down a little bit. Now, unfortunately, I don't have the grading plan in front of me, so I don't know exactly what that is, but that is the plan.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Councilman. I don't have anything else to ask, so thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
And is there anybody else who would like to speak in favor of the application? Okay, seeing none, is there anybody who would like to speak in opposition? Okay, and again, seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing and move into deliberation. I'm not exactly an expert in this, so it's hard for me to really surmise equivalency. I mean, I definitely do see the intent behind the asks, here. I think that they make sense for, what is being proposed. Give me a second to look over these review criteria since it's my first time really parsing through this. Anybody else have anything that they would like to add? No. No thoughts on? No.
I think there's several coffee houses nowadays that
Mhm.
kind of go into this type of a situation. It's really not that different from the Starbucks.
Mhm.
Over there off the town boulevard.
Yeah, well, there is one major difference actually, and that's that Starbucks is on a major arterial road, and this is on a minor arterial road, which is something that I noticed while looking over here. But it doesn't look like that's really under
don't think
the
it's an
purview of.
I don't think
Yeah.
there's an entrance off of the major.
Mhm. That's true. Well, would anybody like to make a motion? Like I said, I'm having difficulty surmising whether or not this is truly like equivalent. I don't really, not necessarily my wheelhouse.
I'd like to make a motion for approval based on staff recommendations.
Is there a criteria that you would like to cite, 1 through 4?
So based on criteria, all four? 1 through 4?
Well, I'll second the motion.
Mr. Mento?
Yes.
Mr. Daniel?
Yes.
Ms. Griffith?
Yes.
Mr. Cash?
Yes.
Ms. Ramsey? And Mr. Shainline?
Yes.
Okay, then moving on. Looks like we are now looking at case number 1126. This is located at 611 Young Street. It is another conditional use permit. It has been submitted by the applicant Recovery Defined on behalf of the property owner Susan Gilbert. They propose to establish a level 2 transitional house located at the property. And Ms. Vinegar, please take it away.
Before we start, does anybody need a break?
Yeah, we can do, what do we want to do, 5 minutes, 10 minutes? 10, okay. 10 minutes, we'll do a 10-minute recess and we will reconvene at, do we want to do it at an odd time or just want to come back at 8? Okay, let's just reconvene at 8. All right.
Nancy, have you got any green beans over there?
I do.
Do you?
Blue Lakes, but not good ones. I mean, I prefer a blue.
No half runners.
No half runners. I was gonna bring. I got some good corn. I was gonna bring you some corn, and I forgot. I'll drop it by the house.
No. I bought some corn at Kroger's. We haven't cooked it yet. We haven't tried it yet.
Let me know how you feel about it.
Yeah. Usually put it in the microwave.
Perfect.
Wrap it in Reynolds or in saran wrap, and get it kind of wet. Put it in the microwave.
Steam it.
4 or 5 minutes.
Brilliant.
Done. Steal your seat?
Go ahead.
No, it's all right.
Move around. I worked in the yard yesterday,
Yeah.
which I haven't been doing much of.
And today you feel it.
And the back, my hamstrings, they're burdened.
And today you feel it.
Yes, I do.
So where are those beans coming from? Tennessee? Florida?
From
Well, you gotta order 'em.
from the guy I buy produce from.
Okay.
Corn came from Florida. Tomatoes came from Florida. Legitimately, I don't know where they're green. Do you want some tomatoes? They look okay.
Yeah.
Tim had one a couple.
I don't like tomatoes. Bonnie likes them.
Do you want to hear some tomatoes?
Nah.
You don't like tomatoes?
Me, I don't know.
Oh no.
No, I never did. I think it's because my mother made me eat some of them.
Oh. That's why I don't like beets or turnips. No.
Collard greens, mustard greens. My father always liked that. I didn't like that stuff either. If it's green, I don't care for it. Oh, well.
Holy smokes. You okay? Yep. Okay. If you want to sit back down, I can push you to your chair.
No, I'm okay. I'll manage. You guys get a lot done at the park?
Yeah, every year it's a great turnout. I don't think the fountain's up and running yet. There's some kind of issue that was over my head, but
Which park?
Old Smith Park, or Old South Park on Main Street. The,
Does the Historic Commission or the society do anything like with that?
yeah, every year we go, on Earth Day, we, like, pick up trash, we pull weeds,
I
mulch the
did with
playground.
the Keep Middletown Beautiful. My girlfriend and I went down by the river and we picked like 4 big bags of trash.
Okay.
Yeah, and you know, like my friends and I have gone down to the river ever since we were in high school. I don't really go. I prefer other sites like Bull's Run these days, really. But like, it's really nostalgic going down there. It's like, wow, I finally have the tools I need to like we're getting in there.
Yeah, that's great, man. Yeah. I would do that.
It was gross.
If I didn't have to be at
Yeah.
South Park.
Yeah.
I'd rather focus on other areas, but
It's the same fight.
yeah.
We're just doing it in different different spots. You know, I've made my affinity for the outdoors pretty publicly well known. So,
Right.
you know, trying to get out into the parks that people don't really want to go to, and you know, like because the water rises, the trash gets dumped in the woods, it recedes, and then it's just there. So, and thankfully it wasn't super muddy, and we actually went down like probably like a mile and a half on the trail, and then there's like a way to get to like a really big rock beach, and we went up and down that rock beach, and we like there's all the trees that like grow up, and then they get like branches that are like kind of stuck like plastered to them, and then like big bits of plastic that we were like pulling out like deep in there, and
Nice.
we were there like pretty much all morning for real. But yeah,
Thank you for doing that.
yeah.
The Rock Beach, is that by Germantown, Middletown Road, or?
Yeah, I want to say it's like halfway between that and the trailhead that's off of like where Where the train,
73.
the train bridge is on 73, and then you go down, it's on the right-hand side. So it's like between those. It's not
Such a
quite.
cool spot, where the old dam was. You would
Yeah.
go up there, and one time the water was super low, and so it was like, it wasn't even going over the dam, it was going off to the side. And in the one day or so that the water had receded or lowered, there was like the entire dam. There was graffiti all over it, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
Like, very cool. And I love that view of the railroad on the river. So cool.
I've got some cool photographs from when I was a teenager at, at the dam, right? And
Is that a thing?
yeah, of course. Oh yeah, that's a very big teenager. I mean,
Really?
I assume it still is, considering I haven't been a teenager for like a decade. But
I can see why. It's pretty
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, it's a cool spot. But I've got photos of like my high school friends and I. One of them set down like their phone all the way at the bottom, and it's like looking at the bottom up at the top of the wall, and we're all like doing poses up there. So we're like, the picture's this big, and we're in the center. So you really get the nice sense of scale. It was my my Facebook header for a while.
Perfect for it.
Yeah, it was a good one. It was a good one.
Yeah, I've been fishing down there a couple times, and my wife and I hike that trail pretty frequently. So.
My buddy, or my roommate, really, he likes to fish a lot, and he swears up and down that there's better spots than down like where that dam is. He's like, everybody goes there because it's like really easy to get out to the water.
It's accessible.
But like he's like, if you really want to catch a fish, you got to go like where you kind of like park to get to that wall, and then you go left, and then it's like kind of on your right, like a couple minutes down. You go right and deeper into the woods. There's like a couple, like, not bay is the wrong word, but where it's kind of like cut a channel in. It's like kind of more
Right.
still, it's not like flowing real hard.
Yep.
He swears up and down those are the spots.
I know exactly
And
what
I've
you're
just
talking about.
broadcasted that for everybody to. So, sorry, Casey.
I don't do it too often, but yeah. I went with my buddy who fishes all the time.
I'm on the record blowing up my buddy's spot.
I don't think anybody's watching.
No.
So we have, what, 3 more? 4 more?
Yeah, well, we've got one more, and then we've got 2 park waiver impact fee things. Impact fee waiver, whatever it is. Park impact fee waiver. You thought there was just one? You should have remembered last month where we kicked some down the street.
Because I looked at her second email with the updated staff report, I thought, well, it's updated, that just means it's the same old with some additions. No.
No, I knew that that there were like 1 or 2 of these that we
Yeah.
that we tabled from last. So, and then there were some that were supposed to be on it that weren't published.
Excuse me.
in time.
Shoot. Yeah. Yeah, because I get a tickle in my throat and I can't. It's because I don't drink water. That's part of the problem. Thank you.
We'll get going here in just a moment.
Oh, one will be fine.
I'm good.
Nancy, I will take one.
Ooh, with lemon too, that's good.
Okay, we'll go ahead and reconvene the May 13th Planning Commission meeting. And then, as we're starting off on case 1126 for 611 Young Street. And Ms. Benninger, please.
Yes, thank you. So getting into property background, according to the Butler County Auditor's website, the subject property is a total of just over a tenth of an acre. The property contains a 2-story, 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom, 1,600 square foot structure that was built in 1914, which last sold on February 25th, 2020. I'm not going to read the purpose statement for the R4 zoning district, but the property is also located in the city's Oakland Conservation District, which does mean any major exterior alterations, which include demolition, new construction, or building addition, requires Historic Commission approval. City records do show that there has been a total of 4 calls for service to 611 Young Street in the last 3 years, and we will get into why that is relevant as we get into staff analysis. So in review of the application submitted as compared to the city's adopted plans and regulations, staff finds the following. Looking at the use-specific standards for transitional housing use type, looking at use-specific standard A, city staff has not found any exterior alterations to have occurred that would change the residential character of the structure. Looking at use standard B, according to city records, there are 2 permitted existing transitional homes in the 1,500-foot radius of 611 Young Street. Looking at use-specific standard C, the transitional home is identified as a level 2 recovery house. Ohio Recovery Housing requires level 2 recovery homes to include at least 1 compensated position and include a house manager or senior resident with policy and procedures for the residents. Looking at use-specific standard D, the applicant has provided the certification to operate 611 Young Street as a level 2 recovery home issued by Ohio Recovery Housing. City staff has validated the license with Ohio Recovery Housing. Use-specific standards E are findings by Planning Commission. This is what you will review in your deliberation for the proposed facility. Planning Commission shall make specific findings of fact for each of the requirements listed on the screen. Next, looking at Destination Middletown, the subject property is located in this Oakland Neighborhood Special Interest Area. Does anybody want me to read more about the special interest area, the desired use land types there? All right. Next, look, this is also in the city's urban core development opportunity area. No comments have been received to date from the public, and other department comments. Community and Economic Development Department has stated, is the resident manager employed by Recovery defined? If so, the required W-2 withholding shall be paid to the city, as well as any delinquent taxes owed to the city as documentation obtained by the city, provided by Ohio Recovery Housing, has identified the open date of 611 Young Street as October 1st, 2024. As for staff recommendation, based on the information provided in the applicant's submission, staff recommends denial of the application for the following reasons. Chapter 120409C2B requires a distance of 1,500 feet between transitional homes and group homes to prevent concentration of the uses. And there are 2 permitted transitional homes that exist in that 1,500-foot radius of 611 Young Street. Additionally, Destination Middletown's future land use designation, Oakland Special Interest Area, for the subject property does not support the proposed use. Therefore, the proposed use is in direct conflict with the Middletown Development Code and is not consistent with the spirit, purpose, or intent of Destination Middletown. Here's the review criteria for a conditional use application. The additional criteria and conditions, the time limit, as well as the appeals process, and that will conclude my staff report.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for staff?
Do I understand that this residence is being currently used as a level 2 transitional living
Yes,
since October 1st of 2024, 18 months ago?
that was the date of accreditation.
But is the accreditation, but is the property actually being used as a group home, if the city knows?
As I understand it, I will defer to the applicant.
To the applicant. Thank you.
And then I do have a question about, at the beginning, about the a total of 4 service calls to the address in the last 3 years. Where was that brought into being relevant here?
Just if you had any questions about the calls for service.
Oh, okay. I mean, do we know what nature they were for, or?
No.
No?
That would probably be determined when we find out how long it's been operating.
You're welcome to ask the applicant.
Okay. Oh, okay, I see. Oh, last 3 years, but it's only, okay. Does anybody else have any questions for staff? No? Okay. Well, we'll just go ahead and move into the public hearing. Anybody that would like to speak in favor of the application, please come forward. Be sworn in, please.
Both of you are going to testify? Yes, thank you. Do you both solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give before this commission will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And as you speak, please identify yourself.
Hi, I'm Joni Austin. I'm here on behalf of Susan Gilbert. I can speak to for the owner as far as she's perfectly all right with this going on. I think it's been in business, what, 5 years there?
We've been in Middletown for 5 years.
Okay. I'll let Todd step in, and does anyone have any questions of me as for the property manager?
So you're not the applicant? Are you a neighbor, or?
I'm the property manager.
Oh, you're the property manager. Okay.
He is the gentleman that is running the sober living transitional home. Let me refer to him. How long have you been on
We've been-
611 Young?
So at 611 Young, we've been there for a couple of years. Now, where the variance comes in is I didn't realize there was a zoning issue with the property. Once I was notified by Mr. Fox from the zoning department that there was an issue, we self-disclosed 611, and he suggested we come before the board for approval, which is what we did. Recovery Defined has had an office at 134 North Brio for several years, and we came to Middletown to help with the addiction population. We have a license with the state of Ohio for clinical, and as the overview said, we also have a license for the transitional housing from the state of Ohio, recovery housing.
Also, are you aware of having this license about the 1,500 or 15 foot requirement from other?
I was not aware that we were within 1,500 feet.
Or the 1,500 feet radius, because you are in direct radius of both Hope House and Freya's Hen House, which is the transitional housing that's located. Hope House would be the homeless shelter, and the permanent supportive housing piece. But right next to it, which is on that same property, is the recovery housing that exists, and I think that's where it may be kind of crossing.
Okay, yeah. I was not aware of that.
Are you able to speak to the nature of these 4 service calls that were made to the property in the last 3 years?
I'm going to say yes, okay, but I need a little levity here because this is just me. If we ever had an issue with a dismissal from the program or a disturbance at a house, the police have been called along with the sober living manager to make sure that there's an even transition out of the house. And one of them was a fire call where we had, about 6 months ago, where we had a client that had discarded a cigarette and it ended up in the trash. Okay? So we addressed that. We went ahead and dismissed the client, took him to another sober living.
Sir, I'm assuming that since you have a level 2 transitional living resident certification,
Yes.
that is this governed by the Department of Health?
It's OMAS. OMAS in the state of Ohio.
Okay. I don't know what OMAS is, but
Yeah, they're the governing body that certifies my clinical license.
apparently there was no requirement that you provide a zoning compliance certificate from the.
There was not.
From Middletown. It may not be. I don't know anything about those applications, but okay.
If I recall correctly, based off of previous cases of a similar nature, it's only been within the past 2 years that the state of Ohio started requiring new accreditation for.
That's a great point. So the date that's on that, the date of the 24th was when they made requirements. That's the significance of that date. Yes, ma'am.
So when someone comes and wants to do any type of business in Ohio or in our city, what are they supposed to register with the city for approval? I mean, because I think that's what I'm starting to see a pattern of this type of business saying that they didn't know that they were supposed to.
I think maybe I would answer your question maybe I'm answering a different question, but it's incumbent on a property owner to know what the zoning is and the zoning requirements. Yep.
Yes. And ma'am, I can attest that I did not know, nor did the owner or the property manager know.
And it falls on with the owner, because you're the business, right?
I am the business.
And I think that's what we're coming across. The owners are allowing businesses to open, but you guys not. But that's where it's kind of crossing the line, because certain areas require certain zoning and also approvals of what's being used with that condition, that use is being for. And then I feel, even though you may not have known about what the owner should be, my thing is you weren't aware of the other two. The Hope House, I think, came. I can't think of the date the Hope House was built, but they also have not just homeless shelter, but they also have permanent supportive housing, and they do have minor psychology. But I think at the time they were there, it might have been access counseling, which does exactly kind of what you do, but it's out treatment. But they do. I don't know how. Just being aware of what's around you may.
Well, just to clarify, we don't do any counseling there. We don't do anything, any medical assistance. We don't do any of that. That's done at 134 North Brio. That's done at our office. Yes, ma'am.
So they're staying there.
They're staying there, but there is transitional. So there is absolutely nothing clinical going on there unless it's a crisis situation. Okay? So when we were reported about the fire, we went over there and we had counseling sessions about the fire, safety procedures, and what we needed to do with the particular client and the clients that were there. So in that, or if we're mandated by the state to have virtual, which, is an exception, but I'm just, clarifying, the only time we would ever have.
And that's why, because your traditional home, the recovery housing, so is that a difference?
Now, let me read you what Ohio Recovery Housing states a level 2 recovery home will include. Services of a Level 2 recovery house include house rules to provide structure, peer-run groups, drug screenings, house meetings, and involvement in self-help and/or treatment services. Resident types for Level 2 recovery homes are primary single-family residences, but can also be apartments or other dwelling types. Level 2 recovery homes also include at least one compensated position. It's a conditional use, however, it does not meet our use-specific standards.
So are you, I'm just looking at you're not the owner of the property, you're just operating the business.
No, sir, that's why Joni's here. Correct. So I have the business and I rent from, well, our company rents from the property manager.
Yes.
So ma'am, what was your name again, so with the records?
Joan, Joan, Austin, Austin as in Nancy.
And you own the property?
I am the property manager.
Well, yeah, you
Yes.
said that, but I
Okay.
didn't know maybe you were serving a dual role here.
No.
I know it's CTK is
I'm
what
not.
it is, Ohio.
Yes, yes.
That's neither of you two.
No, that's a LLC.
Do you operate any other Level 2 transitional living residences?
Yes.
Sir, and if you'd step over here to the microphone.
Yes. We operate several in Dayton. And then we also operate one at 303 Crawford. That's how this got initiated. So at 303 Crawford, Mr. Fox came over and said we were in violation of not being right with the city, right, the zoning, okay? At that time, we worked with him, and he suggested that we go through the process. So 303 Crawford is pending a new survey. So I'm in the process of resurveying that, so you'll probably see me again.
In Dayton, are you required to have a zoning compliance certificate in order to run one of these operations?
We've got zoning, and we've worked with zoning in Dayton, but we've not had any issues like this.
Well, I understand that, but there's a process that you're aware of that requires as of October 1st of 2024.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's for recovery certification, but I'm assuming Dayton had similar requirements that you, maybe not, that you obtain a certificate of zoning compliance to operate a transitional Level 2 transitional house?
I can tell you that years ago, we went to zoning in Dayton, and they didn't have an issue where the locations of our homes were.
Well, I understand that, but you understood that there was a process to go through in order to operate your business in compliance with local ordinance.
I mean, I did check with the state of Dayton.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Does anybody else have any further questions for the applicant?
No.
No.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else who would like to speak in favor of this application? No? Seeing none, is there anybody who would like to speak in opposition? And seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing and move into deliberation. So I guess I just have a question about the additional criteria and conditions real quick, just because I've never like truly cited them. So in this situation, if we were to move to approve this use, would that be something that was attached to this in perpetuity or until like the use changes, or is it something that we can use the additional criteria and conditions to put a time limit on the use? Because I do see that the certification that they received expires on 9/23/27. So I'm just kind of thinking of the options that we have.
The use runs with the land, so if you approve it, it runs with it. That said, that you do need to, stay in compliance with what the conditions are upon
But we can't set like a time limit on the, like, after this day, the use expires and they will have to, like, you know, move. No, that's not something that's possible. No? Okay, it's just an idea.
No.
Does anybody else have any other comments for deliberation?
My concern is the $1,500 restriction, density restriction, I guess is a way to put it. There's already 2 permitted transitional homes. As staff has noted, I mean, there's a purpose. We don't want, obviously, the development code is not looking to increase the density of, or to control the density of the transitional houses, and that's my concern.
You said it is or it isn't trying to?
No, with the 1,500-foot minimum or distance, I think the city is trying to maintain some control over the.
I just wanted to make sure I interpreted you correctly.
It's trying to avoid the concentration of uses. Is the
Thank you.
Yep.
If I can get on a soapbox here for a minute, I'm all for supportive housing and services for people who are homeless. I used to work in permanent supportive housing at the YMCA as kind of a sort of a case manager. So I'm all for that. And I think it should be done in the right way. In Middletown, I've seen a lot of those services not being done the right way. There's a church near us where I live that has a food truck that feeds homeless populations, and I think that's great, but they pay no attention to the trash that accumulates there. There's no like hours of operation. They don't keep an eye on the folks and cutting through people's yards. It's just not done the right way. When I see, you know, I'm not sure if I believe that they didn't know that it was going to be subject to rules of zoning rules. And there's a house on South Main that I've flagged before, and I don't think the city was able to establish any proof that it was an unauthorized use, but I know it is. I take walks every night and I see what's going on there. I support services to, you know, homeless and the disadvantaged. It needs to be done the right way, and it makes me pretty furious when people take advantage of that system. Especially in Middletown. Middletown has a problem with that. Whether it was true or not, we had the issue of people busing their homeless populations to Middletown and dropping them off. That happened in my alley. I saw it happen live. I have zero tolerance for stuff like this. Like I said, I support services to the homeless. I think that's great. It's got to be done the right way. If you're not doing it the right way, I have zero tolerance for it. Okay, I'm done. Oh, one more thing. You have to consider the neighborhood around it. Like you should be considerate to the neighbors in the area. So I don't know.
Which I think is what the purpose of having the radius is.
Right. The rules are there for a good reason. If you're trying to avoid, try to sneak underneath that, it's not fair to the people in the neighborhood. It's not fair to the people of Middletown.
I think the consideration of the neighborhood around it is that transcends conditional use applications, so it's not particularized to this application. That's why you have in your review criteria, the first couple criteria touch on that as far as the proposed conditional use being allowed in the applicable zoning district, the proposed use consistent with the spirit, purpose, and intent of the master plan and general purpose of the code. That kind of incorporates the character of the surrounding neighborhood and whether the use is a compatible fit with the neighborhood and with not just the existing neighborhood, the vision for the land with the comprehensive use plan and destination Middletown, and what the council has seen fit to zone property going forward.
Yes, and I agree with the staff recommendation, and would add what I said earlier. I think it's important to mention. Sorry, go ahead.
I think number 6 also, from what he was talking about, gets to the surrounding area.
Yeah, this is a real tough one for me because it really is a shame that there's no way to kind of temporally define a use, I guess. I mean, just looking at the review criteria and what's in front of us, I mean, the fact that it's within not just one but 2 homes, I think really pushes it over the edge for me. Yeah, I mean, I guess I will just have to make a motion to deny based on criteria 2. It's not consistent with the master plan and the special interest area that's been established and the future vision for the area.
I'll second.
Mr. Mentel,
Yes to deny.
Mr. Daniel,
Yes to deny.
Ms. Griffith,
Yes to deny.
Mr. Cash,
Yes to deny.
Ms. Ramsey, and Mr. Shaneline.
Yes to deny.
Okay, moving forward, we have some old business to attend to. The first up is going to be the park impact fee waiver for the Atticus, which is a proposed development at the corner of Market and Union. And Ms. Binnicker, please.
Thank you. So the applicant is requesting a 50% waiver of the park impact fee. I am not going to go into the entire presentation that was provided at the last meeting. Still on the screen is the overall landscaping plan for the development. A close-up picture of the pool area, and the dimensions of the dog park were provided. So based on the landscaping plan provided, the only qualifying open space that could be considered for credit of open space is a proposed dog park that is featured in the center of the apartment complex. The dimensions of the proposed dog park are 160.9 feet by 48.8 feet, equating to a total of 7,851.92 square feet of open space that features a shelter, water bowl, and dog wash station. The dog park is proposed to be enclosed by a 4-foot-tall commercial aluminum fence. The remaining areas of the development fall within areas that are not eligible to be counted towards private open space, including public roadway and associated right-of-way, private parking spaces, required minimum spacing between buildings and required yard setbacks, vehicular use areas, and leftover land that has no value for the development and is not a natural resource that contributes to the quality of the overall project. Based on the information provided, the applicant's submission, staff recommends denial of the request for a park impact fee waiver for the following reasons. In accordance with Chapter 121406B4, the vast majority of the landscape area shown in the submitted plan falls within areas that do not qualify for credits for private open space. And the applicant requests a waiver of $78,500 by proposing an approximate 7,900 square foot open space on a 14.6371 acre or 637,592.076 square foot development. The open space proposed for the park impact fee equates to just 1.23% of the total development area. And that will conclude my staff report.
Thank you, Ms. Spinnaker. There's no criteria for this?
The criteria, there's no like set review criteria. However, in your packet, you can see that the credit towards the park impact fee for consideration include but are not limited to the location, size, accessibility, topography, and proposed improvements. And also following that section in your staff packet is the areas that shall not be counted towards private open space, which was read off in the summary.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify that. I mean, I'm just looking at the notes from the previous meeting where we discussed this, well, actually, I guess we haven't moved to the public comment yet. Is there anybody have any questions for staff? No? And, okay, well, we can go ahead and open this up to the public comment. If there's anybody that would like to speak in support of, please come forward and be sworn in. Okay, seeing none, anybody that would like to speak in opposition, come forward. All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and move into deliberation. Okay, and then to pick up where I was about to go, I mean, it doesn't seem like any of the questions that were posed at the last one that we wanted clarified on. I mean, it looks like we did receive a little bit of confirmation or like elaboration on some more of this claimed open space, but I'm just not seeing a compelling enough reason to grant this waiver. Does anybody else have any thoughts?
I guess my question, I'll ask staff. Since it appears that the calculation that staff has used is that 1.23% of the total development area would qualify for a credit against park impact fee.
That is more so just for your knowledge on the total open space compared to the development area. It's not intended to guide any sort of decision on a 1.23% credit towards the park impact fee. Staff recommends denial of the request.
Or where I was going to go. Thank you.
Any other thoughts? All right, well, I'm going to make a motion to deny based off of the staff recommendation.
I'll second.
Mr. Mentel?
Yes to deny.
Mr. Daniel?
Yes to deny.
Ms. Griffith?
Yes to deny.
Mr. Cash?
Yes to deny.
Ms. Ramsey? And Mr. Shainline?
Yes to deny.
Okay, and moving forward, we have a second park impact fee waiver request. This one is for the Gateway Lofts at the Renaissance Point development. Spinnaker, please.
Thank you. This is for also a 50% waiver of the park impact fee. Getting into how it aligns with Chapter 1214 of the Middletown Development Code, staff finds the following. Looking at Chapter 1214.03, establishment of the park impact fee. The park impact fee equates to $500 for each new dwelling unit. The development proposes a total of 288 dwelling units, equating to a park impact fee payment of $144,000. Looking at their request for waiver, the 50% request of waiver of those fees does equate to a total monetary waiver of $72,500. That was the discussion of the factors for consideration, include the location, size, accessibility, topography, and proposed improvements of the private open space. And Planning Commission does have the authority to waive up to 50% of the park impact fee. Getting into the proposed area for private open space. Based on the landscaping plans and narratives submitted, the applicant has identified 2.09 acres of the 8.12 acre development for private open space. The narrative explains that the site was designed with the intention of the northeast corner to become a pocket park, equating to an approximate total of 0.37 acres with sidewalks and graded terraces surrounded by trees to create a green edge. Additionally, 2 green spaces are provided in the center of the larger parcel, equating to an approximate total of 0.47 acres. The narrative explains that the green space is to be utilized for field activities like playing catch with a frisbee or golf ball, or very likely they will become a place for residents with dogs to meet up on a regular basis, which is why a walk connection and benches have been provided near the clubhouse area. The development also features 2 pickleball courts that equate to a total of 0.21 acres. The remaining areas identified in the landscaping plan are noted as passive open space, equating to the remaining 1.04 acres of the proposed private open space. Here is a high-level view of the open space provided, specifically noting this pocket park or village green identified on the northeast corner, these large parcels or green space here where dog meetups and catch will happen, and here is your proposed pickleball courts. The remaining green space borders the eastern edge as well as the southern edge of the development. Here is an illustrative site plan showing the landscaping at a high level. I do want to flip over to what was a portion of what was submitted for the final development plan, which shows the amount of landscaping. And if you recall from that meeting last May, there was an exceedance of landscaping proposed based on our minimum requirements. So this is just a snippet of this area. Based on the information provided by the applicant's submission, staff recommends approval of the request for a park impact fee waiver for the following reasons. In accordance with Chapter 1214-06A3, the proposed 1.5 acres of designed private open space and 1.04 acres of passive green space equate to 25% of the total development area. That is not meant to be a recommendation of 25%. Staff recommends a full 50% waiver approval. And that will conclude my staff report.
I do have a question about a definition. Maybe this is something that the applicant might. The term quasi-public really tripped me up. Is that like?
I'll defer to the landscape architect.
Sounds good. Does anybody else have any questions for staff? Okay, we'll go ahead and open this up to the public. If you would like to come and speak in favor, come please be sworn in.
Sir, do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give before this commission will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Ryan Pearson, 330 West Spring Street, Columbus, Ohio. I'm with the Edge Group. I'm a landscape architect representing Hallmark. I guess just to take a quick step back, I really think this was something that was missed in the process when we came in for a final development plan, or maybe when the plating went through. I'm not exactly sure, but we do have some records of. It was something that was pointed out early on in our due diligence period, and there were some discussions with the city manager at the time that basically explained it as, if you set aside X number of acres based on the value of the land that the city paid for, undeveloped ground, raw ground, then we could get the 50% waiver on this parkland fee. So with that in mind, that area and the quasi-public space in that northeast corner, it really was a purposeful move to try to create what we thought was it's private green space. Hallmark will maintain it and control it. However, it is right at the front door. It's right across from what will be the future event center. So that was really the intent of that set aside, and it happens to be 0.37 acres, which if you do the math based on what the city paid for the property, it was 0.36, which was given to us. I just think that it was probably something that fell through the cracks and we missed through the process. With that said, the 0.36 acres alone at the value the city paid for the property, not what Hallmark is going to end up paying for this property, which there's some definitions, there's some fine line in there about
what the value is at the time of the plat or the zoning compliance plan. So the value might be a little bit more now, the fair market value. We think the 0.36, 0.37 acres will meet the intent of this piece to be able to get the 50% waiver. But on top of that, as Claire mentioned, we have the two central green spaces that are inside of parking lots. I know they're not the best park spaces, but residents will use those. And I do think that people with pets, more and more in apartments, they're always looking for a place to take their pets. So I do think those will be a convenient area to go with the pet. I would argue that a pool area, the pool complex might be the most used open space in these developments, as far as like people actually going there and using it, albeit they're not swimming laps. They're meeting up, they're congregating, grilling out. You know, they're doing other things. It's not a recreational swimming area. But then the pickleball courts, obviously that would be an active rec use. With all of that said, I think we're well above what the fair market value would determine would be 50% for this fee waiver. I guess with that, I'm open for any questions or.
Sorry, I'm still not clear on, not that it detracts from what you're saying, what quasi-public is.
The quasi-public is, I view like the pool area as an internal, it's internal to the development. It's obviously a private, for residents only. The space in that northeast corner, it's right in the front door to the entire development, this overall mixed-use development. So that's where I'm saying it's more of a quasi-public that I could see some spill out from the event center coming over to that northeast corner of our site and even then jumping across to the retail to the north. Yeah. So that's why I call it quasi-public. It really feels more like a public park to me than it does an internal green space.
Okay, so that's why I was just kind of like,
yeah.
I don't know what quasi is supposed to mean, but
it's not a public park. I
Yeah,
guess.
I
It's
understand
not. It's
now.
privately owned.
Okay.
Maintained.
Does anybody have any questions for the? No. No. Well, thank you, sir.
Yep, great. Thank you.
Is there anybody else that would like to speak in favor? Okay, seeing none, is there anybody who would like to speak in opposition? Okay, and seeing none, I guess we'll move into deliberation on this. I mean, looking at these five, criteria, so to say, location, size, accessibility, topography, and proposed improvements. I mean, more of this space is being improved upon. Like there's a 1.05 acre portion that's being improved, and then there's the passive open space that's 1.04.
The 1.4 remaining area, that is definitely, not definitely, that would probably fall under the areas that would not qualify. However, they are large chunks of land, so it's not necessarily safe to assume that they are not developable. However, a major amendment would need to be submitted to add more units. But that's neither here nor there.
Does the commission feel like the 50% is appropriate, or would we like to? Because we can do up to 50%, but seems like it is quite a sizable portion and a desirable development that has several different types of proposed improvements going on. So, does anybody have any thoughts?
I would motion to approve the 50%.
Along the staff is, I guess this isn't a staff recommendation, is it? But there is a staff recommendation. Okay. So in line with the staff recommendation, you make a motion.
Right.
Okay, I'll second the motion.
Mr. Mento?
Yes to approve.
Mr. Daniel?
Yes.
Ms. Griffith?
Yes.
Mr. Cash?
Yes.
Ms. Ramsey? And Mr. Shaneline?
Yes.
Is there any other old or new business that needs to be brought forward at this time? No? We all in favor of adjournment? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Adjourned. Thank you for coming.